I'm Allan Walker. We live here in Northcliffe on Newfield Dairy, and we have bought a DeLaval Robotic unit, a 310. And we've been here for 30 odd years. With the leased land round about it, there's about 360 acres. They're a mixed herd. They wear a lot of jersey in the day, and with steady we've been bringing them back to Friesians. And there's here at the minute, I think there's just about 50, not a lot more. We have run up to 80 and actually peaked at 91 at one stage. But since we had the drought, we want to cut as much fodder here as possible, so we shifted some of them back to the other dairy just till we get the crops off, and then they'll come back. We milk at the other dairy. It's a leased farm, and it's got a 16 swing over herringbone, and it's got a fair bit of scope out there at that dairy, so we use it, you know. I think all up there may be about 350 cows all total between the two dairies, and yeah, we've got no intentions of expanding anymore, but we just want to produce more with the robot. I'm supposed to be the head of the family, but I'm not sure that that's always the case. My wife Eric's, she helps me up here. She keeps it all nice and clean, and she does a bit of the work on the computer as well. And my daughter Amanda, she's sort of the one in this business on the computer because she can get into everything. I just tell her what I want, and she goes and finds it. So yeah, it works really well. It's a grass fed farm, you know, like they're fed on grass here. There's no irrigation, it's dry land. But it's a very good farm, it's got good flats in it and that kind of thing, so we can keep them on a bit of green grass pretty well all year round. We have the feed shed here, so in the summertime, that's always ad lib silage and hay out through there. So the cows go through the robot, they come up the laneway, they get into the smart gates, they get put into the machine, the robot, they come out the robot, they go to the hand scamp and they get the rest of the feed there, and then they go from there into the feed shed and have as much time there as they want. And then they'll come out of that and they'll come into the water trough, this is where we are, and once they've had a drink, they go back through the smart gates and go to whatever designated paddock there is for them. And that just continually goes on. Works really well. Particularly in the summer, it works really well. The smart gates are brilliant. Like, the smart gates are smart. They're really good. You can do a lot with them. And once they've went through the robot and they end up back in this, where we are now, they have to go through the other one to get out. And if it's time to get milked out, it'll send them back to the robot. If it's not time to get milked, they'll get sent back to the feed shed or sent to the paddock, whichever it's being set for doing, depending on the time of the year. But yeah, it's a great bit of work between that smart gate and the V310. The combination together is very good. When the young bloke left and we went to once a day, we realised that there was a lot of cows giving a lot of milk on once a day. And we figured that after the calf, within a sort of month of that, they lose a bit of that production. So I decided that labour-wise, I didn't want to rebuild the old herringbone here, but I thought if I put a robot in there, I could bring these cows that was excess milk and bring them into a robot, milk them 3 times a day, and have the same cow doing a lot more excess milk. And I figured that would be quite a good thing for us to do. So we could utilise the same cows, just take the bigger producers in early lactation and bring them here, which has worked really well for us. We're very happy with how that does work. The cows have been very easy to train. I think that's one of the things about the DeLaval as well that we have found. The comfort in there certainly blends well with the cows. And it's very farmer friendly. Like, even if something does go wrong, it's always trying to tell you what it is that's, you know, happened. So now that we've sort of learned a lot of that, in general, they come and service it, but generally anything else over the telephone, we always seem to manage to sort of do it. They're 4 separate cups. They all go in individually, and they all come off individually. And when you watch how much milk they've given in each quarter, it's been quite amazing that we've never found one to have the same amount of milk in each quarter. And what happens is so a cow that's got a bit less in it, that machine will come off that teat, so it's not being over milked. And I think, I mean, I'm not saying that this machine cures mastitis, but what I am saying is that it helps prevent a lot of mastitis that you would have had in the herringbone. And its simple fact is it milks the cow so well, then the teat sprays on it really quickly, and then it goes into the hand scat and finishes a feed. By the time she gets to the feed shed or anywhere else, the teat's totally dried up, and I just think all in all, it works really well. But in particular, it's the actual milking process that I think would be hard to beat with anything. We're sort of the peasants of the industry, so we didn't really have any money and we couldn't afford a big lot of mistakes. So when you're doing something like this and you don't have a lot of money, it's got to work, and it's got to work first time. And I think that's what we achieved very, very well, was for it to work. And in combination with DeLaval, and like I was always had advice, and that if I needed any advice or anything like that, I always got all that given to us. But I think the fact is that it does work so well, it's a good thing. We love the Herd Navigator, like, you know, that's one of the main things that I bought the 310 for, was because of that. So as I could get the information, it'll tell me when the cow's coming in season, it'll tell me when the best time to eye her is, and it'll tell me whether she's pregnant or she's not. So I mean, that's a dairy farmer's dream. It'll tell me when to dry her out. It'll cut the feed back on its own to dry her out. You know, when she calves, it'll lift the production and the feed with it as it goes up, and when it's time to go the other way, it'll go down. So it takes all that guesswork, it just takes all that physical work as well out of the whole thing. It's difficult to compete with. The robot tests that milk every time for mastitis, every time for blood, every quarter separately. If it's the least bit over a threshold that we've put in there, that goes straight in another tub. The machine is a 5-minute wash, you're back in business. Another big thing in controlling mastitis, that machine's washed and washed properly. So all these things all add up. Before we had the robot, we were sort of always in grade 2, seldom in grade 1, whereas the robot's always in grade 1, and that's an extra 3 cents a litre. So, you know, it's definitely got to be, I'm not saying it pays half the robot, but it is getting close to it. So, you know, it all helps, every little bit helps. We would never want to go back to not having a robot. In fact, there's only one thing better than one robot, and that's 2. And we haven't got there yet, but we would be intending to do that eventually somewhere down the track, you know, so yeah. You don't get up in the morning and think, oh, you know, got to see what's wrong with the robot. It's not like that. It was for the first 6 weeks, you know, there was always little odds and ends going on there, but after that, it just settled down, and we fully trust it. I think we were a little bit sceptical at the beginning because it was an old dairy, and it was, you know, mostly robots are going in brand new dairies, and well, we couldn't do that. We couldn't have had a robot if that was the case, because we didn't have the money to do that. So it was use what we had or nothing. So we used what we had, and I think most of these DeLaval people now would be agreed that it has worked very well. If we can retrofit this dairy, there's an awful lot of dairies out there that you can retrofit a lot easier, you know. And back in the old days before we were here, it was a walkthrough. The cows come in, they get milked, and then they pushed a wooden lever and the cow walked straight out. And then when we came here, we worked with other people that had owned this farm at the time, and we dug it out and put it into a ten-a-side herringbone. So it went for a walkthrough to a robotic dairy. So, you know, it's quite amazing. It is funny, like, I mean, you can see the odd bit of daylight through the roof, but in the winter it still doesn't get you wet. It seems to be, the rain just misses where the holes are. The cows don't know that it's an old dairy. They don't know that. They're more interested in the feed that they get, and how easy it is for them to get to it, and how easy it is for them to get out of it. I would not put my word to too many things in life, but I certainly would put it to these robots. If they're all like mine, why would you not? The labour issues are, if you sort of sorted out with that, with the robot, yeah, you've got a bit of maintenance here and there to do for sure, but basically the wife's got the yard washed down before I get back in the morning. She's got the robot all washed before I get back. If there's cows calved, I just give them numbers to Amanda, she's getting them all put in the computer. Why wouldn't you? It's very good having help, you know, like, because I'm not computer at all, it would have been more difficult for me if I'd done it on my own with nobody helping me. But because I've had the support for the family, it's made it really easy for me. I'd recommend it to everybody. If you're thinking about robots, the V300 series and the V310. A 310 is a V300. It's just got the head navigator, you know. So I would be recommending that to everybody. And I don't get paid to say that either, by the way. But I just do believe it. So yeah, I would. You don't need a new shed. You don't need a big fancy anything. You just need a shed. And that's all this one is. I don't know, this shed here might be 80-year-old. It could be more. Who knows? Nothing wrong with it, it's fine. It'll see us out, you know. No, I'd recommend it to everybody. Get on with it and see what happens.